Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Casual Conversation here with Mr. Spann. And tonight, I got my homie Phenom Blak from the Where's My 40 Acres podcast with me, and we're gonna talk a bit about Ferguson, man. We're gonna talk about Ferguson tonight, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. So tell the people what you've been up to, bro.
Man, I've been chilling, working, reading this Ferguson stuff, and playing a whole lot of damn video games. Man, that's about it. That's how I deal with the black issues of the world. I play a lot of video games.
What games you playing right now?
Actually, I'm retro styling it. So I played Halo 3 yesterday because I had it. I don't know. I paid like $2 for it a couple months ago. So I was like, oh, I ain't got shit to play. I guess I'll be playing Halo 3. And I got one mission left. That's a short ass game, dog. Like, I didn't even realize that.
See, I never played Halo. I've never played any. You know me. I just got an Xbox this year and shit.
That makes sense. But see, I never played Halo until my third year with an Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never been a Halo fan like that. So I'm just now going back and playing them. Like, I still think these games are overhyped as hell.
Yeah.
So, great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much why I guess I stick to like my tried and true. Like, uh, I play NBA 2K religiously. I like no matter what, I always fall back into that. You know, either that and that Power Star Golf thing kind of got me too, man. I'm into that shit now.
You sound like Twan, bro, from my show. Like, you sound, that's what Twan and Mike, the FIFA and the baseball games and the golf games. I can't play. I play NBA 2K14. Like, I'm playing it on the PS3 right now because it was free.
Yeah.
I can't play that game for shit. Like, I'm so bad in NBA 2K14 games, NBA 2K games. I get okay at them, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I'm terrible at the mechanics, running plays. I was like, I need a coach. I need a 2K coach because I'm really bad at these
Well,
games.
well, really, you just need to just run through the like they have the practice sessions on the games where you could just practice a lot of the mechanics without being in an actual game. They got like a whole little set aside thing for you to just practice certain shit.
Bruh, I put 180 hours into 2K11 and I'm still terrible at just bad at these games, man. I don't get how to shake people. I don't get how to run in. I played basketball as a kid all the time, but none of
Yeah.
that helps when I'm using the controller in 2K. I'll be like, why won't he do this? I guess I'll just do a jump shot.
You know what?
Like,
That's how I feel about Madden though. Like I haven't played Madden since like I want to say '04. I think Madden '04 was like the last Madden I really played. And then they introduced like QB vision and all this other stuff, and they convoluted the controls so much it just kind of turned me off to it. I'm like, I can't fuck with this shit no more.
last football game I played religiously was NCAA 12. I put in 80 hours in that, didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
I ended playing that a lot. I don't know. I think the NCAA games are always better than Madden after a certain year with Madden.
Well, the thing with the NCAA games is that for me, I think that it's because the offenses are so more, they're more wide open. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like you got so many more options as to how you can attack a defense on that game as opposed to on Madden. Those pro style offenses, you pretty much locked into those. Like, this is their playbook or
Hmm.
this is the Steelers playbook. Whereas on NCAA, man, you got 112 schools to choose from as to as to whose playbook you want to use. So it's crazy like that. But like even with like the 2K, I'm into the whole like I guess the role playing aspect of it with the my career mode and shit. Like I'm in year 2 of my career. I already won a championship and all the rewards and all this other shit. The thing for me is trying to like become a Hall of Famer before the next edition of the game comes out.
You got like what, 4 weeks, 4 or 5
Yeah,
weeks?
yeah, and I got like 6 of the 10 accomplishments. I've already got 6 of them. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make it before the end of before the next one comes out. I
Yeah.
know I'm not gonna make it before the next one comes out.
Just gotta sit your girl down and be like, look, I love you, but I gotta dedicate myself to these trophies because I gotta be a Hall of Famer.
Look here, she ain't trying to hear that shit.
I know she ain't.
She ain't trying to hear that shit. Like, hold on, dude. HGTV, Bravo, it's going down, son. So yeah, man. But getting away from that though, getting away from that, I know we said I want to talk to you about Ferguson, man, and like all of the news that's been coming out of Ferguson, Missouri, and everything. Uh, One of the biggest things about Ferguson, though, is the social media aspect of it. You know, the way that social media has had a role in telling the story about Mike Brown. You know, how much different do you think this story or the narrative of the story would be if it had not been for social media?
So Mike Brown, right? John Crawford, Ezell Ford. You know who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why do you think you know about them?
Social media, baby.
Right. Uh, like it. We had 3 black males die that week that Mike Brown got shot. Okay, and they all got shot, and they all was unarmed, and they all got shot by police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Now that correlation, that would have been local news, in my opinion, without social media's attention. And the call for action in Ferguson would not have been as big without social media attention. Now, that's a double-edged sword, okay? Because there are a lot of people that went to Ferguson because they wanted to riot,
Yeah.
knowing that they could leave if shit got too bad. And then there are other people who went there because they wanted to spread the word about what was going down in Ferguson and show the world, basically the world meaning America, that we're not going to take this land down anymore. This is ridiculous. And we're going to stand side by side with this small town that's 67% African American, you know, and show y'all that you're not going to keep treating people like this, that these young lives are worth more than a bullet in the head,
Yeah.
or in case in the top of the head. So I think social media played a huge part, and I think a lot of people were misguided. And I think people thought that this was going to go the same way that a lot of Twitter activism goes,
Mm.
or some of the dumbest shit ever. People just have an opinion, so they share it, and it turns into a thing, and then it turns into a march, and it turns into whatever. No, this has been going on for like 2 weeks now, and
Yeah.
I truly believe that social media is the reason that CNN is keeping up, and MSNBC is keeping up, and Fox is keeping up. Even though Fox, I think, is using social media more than the other good stations are, because they want to use it to tear down Mike Brown
Mm.
and the protesters, which is crazy.
Well, and it's funny you say that though. Like when we talk about what happened with Mike Brown, you know, for whatever reason, I guess I guess they feel as if, you know, mainstream media feels as if it's their responsibility to tell two sides of a story, even though there might not necessarily be two sides to a story. You know, like there was that whole instance where this anonymous lady called into the radio show to talk about the police officer and his account, and then, you know, like she was telling his side or whatever, but nobody knows who this lady is. Nobody can verify exactly, you know, where she, you know, even though her story is supposedly lining up with his, nobody knows who this lady is. And it was funny to me how, like, in my interaction with folks on Twitter, how how this woman was upheld as a credible source, so to
Right.
speak. You know, sight unseen. You know, I'm hearing about orbital, you know, blast. He took a shot in the head. Like folks would ask me, well, is it okay that Mike Brown did this to him? I said, well, hell, you've never even seen Mike Brown. I mean, I'm sorry, not Mike Brown, the cop. Like, you talking about this man's injuries, you've never even fucking seen him.
We had a dead body in the street for 4 hours. We got numerous photos of it, videos of it. You could probably go on Google Maps, and if you pull up the street that day, you probably see his body laying in the middle
Yeah.
of Google Maps with the line running over his back and shit. But no Darren Wilson in sight. And it's funny to me how in every video, every picture we have, Darren Wilson is nowhere in any of these pictures. I don't know. It's like they escorted him out there like there was a back door in the middle of that street, and they escorted him out like Michael Jackson in the American Dream film. It's
Yeah.
just, how did they get him out of there so fast before anybody could see which cop? Everybody saw him do it, but nobody had a picture of him. And I
Right.
thought it was amazing, because everybody was like, is he white? Is he black? That question kept haunting the shit out of me the first 5 days. Because I was like, y'all saw him get shot. All these people saw the shooting. Y'all don't know if the cop was white or black? And I feel like the media didn't know if he was white or black. I felt like nobody was listening to the residents of Ferguson at this point. Instead of you going to where he got shot and knocking on people's doors and asking,
Yeah.
assumed that because his identity hadn't been released, that nobody knew what this mystery phantom cop looked like. And I thought that was ridiculous, man. It was just,
Now, when they before they released his identity, did you think at any point in time that part of the reason they wanted to hold that up was because I had a sneaking suspicion of like, damn, what if he was black and they just want to kind of like throw that out like, well, this wasn't a race issue, y'all doing all this shit over nothing.
see, and even then, I think it's still a race issue because I've been harassed by more black cops than white cops.
Mm-hmm.
Quite honest, that because brothers gotta show and prove when you on the force, and I feel bad for them because they gotta hold that blue line higher than the people they standing beside to prove their worth and to prove their dedication. So they'll harass you quicker than a white cop will, in my opinion, in my experiences anyway, which I think sucks. But if he was black, to me that would have just been like, well, that, I mean, it's unwritten code though that these niggas ain't nothing but niggas. So if you gotta shoot one, ain't nobody gonna cry over it but his nigga ass family.
Right.
I feel like that's how cops look at it, and it's terrible, man. And it wouldn't have mattered to me if he was black or white. Of course, that would have mattered to a lot of people because then I think that would have split the black majority that's on the side of Mike Brown.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a lot more, well, you was a brother trying to do his job. But then I wonder, because on Twitter there are a lot of people who adamantly hate cops, and they even more hate black cops because they feel like they are the biggest Uncle Toms in our community. Which I firmly disagree. I don't want to say I disagree with it. I disagree with the notion that you should just hate on a black person because they decide they want to become a cop. Because I think we need more black cops. Because I think we had more black cops on that force, they wouldn't have been shooting rubber bullets at people in Ferguson County like they were dogs.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, though, man, because I remember growing up, man. Like I said, I never really had issues like I've had some instances where I've had some troubles with the police, but growing up, I remember 5th grade, 4th grade, having the DARE officer come to the school, and we got to know him or her. They talked to us about drugs. They talked to us about peer pressure and gang violence and all these things that we should avoid and stuff like that. So we had these things in the schools when I was coming up. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't until I got older that my attitude towards the police changed to where I thought that they were looking at me as an adversary, so to speak. When I was in 5th grade, I wasn't necessarily a threat to them. I take it like that. I wasn't really a threat. But as I got older, it became more and more that this person or these people could become a problem. I wouldn't say I hate the police. I don't knock anybody that has a mistrust of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at with it, especially now. I don't knock anybody that has a mistrust of the cops.
I think in certain areas that is extremely appropriate to have a mistrust of the cops. But I think we need to start thinking, okay, if you don't trust the people that are the authoritative figures and are supposed to protect and serve your community, then we need to take that and put people in there that we trust. We don't trust Republicans, or some of us don't trust Republicans and certain political officials. So we vote in people that we more trust or we more side with on every level. The way I see it is, if you want to trust the police force more, we need to start telling our kids, we send kids into the military, and they protecting people in other countries, but we don't want to send our sons and daughters into the force that protects our own neighborhoods.
Well, that's another thing too, though. When you talk about the politics of it, not trusting Republicans and whatnot. I think sometimes as a community we do ourselves a disservice when we align ourselves with just one party, because say for instance, here in Detroit, all of the corruption that was happening here in the city of Detroit and everything else with Kwame Kilpatrick and the city council and all of these things, every last one of those folks are Democrats. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, not necessarily saying that you shouldn't, not necessarily just go out and vote Republican or anything like that. But I think sometimes if we don't necessarily, if we don't have an open mind as far as like listening to what the other side has to say, then we pigeonhole ourselves into a certain set of certain line of beliefs, and then when when things aren't working out, we can't really have an excuse. It's more so like, well, shit, this is what we wanted. We voted this in repeatedly, and it's funny, like they talk about voting in Ferguson, like they talk about the city being 67% black, and they have what I think it was out of 53 cops, three of them are black.
Yeah.
The mayor's white. I think they have like what 6 city council members, and what is it, one person of the city council, or is it all white city council? I'm not sure right now.
I didn't even remember. I didn't even get the information on
Yeah,
that.
but they were talking about the racial makeup of the city government and of the police department and this damn dog. But they were talking about that, and sometimes I feel like we do sometimes politically just disengage when it comes to who we put in power and who we put in charge of the things that we need in our own communities. And sometimes, like I said, we can pigeonhole ourselves by not just opening ourselves up to other lines of thinking.
But we don't even open ourselves up to other lines of voting when it comes to that aspect of it. Everybody, man, you ask a lot of those residents in Ferguson, they don't know who their mayor is, they don't know who their city council is, they don't know who any of those people are, but they know they pro President Obama.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like all of the intermediate people that have a direct effect on everything that happens, a lot of folks just aren't aware of, or they're simply not paying attention to the people that have a more direct effect on everything that they're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Everybody always wants to go to the top. I want to go straight to the top. Let me see the president. It's like, well, yeah, but your representative is the one that has the legislation that's going forth to bring in the funding for the police department and the provisions that are needed for roads and the provisions that are needed for healthcare and the provisions that are needed for the schools and everything else. But nobody really thinks about that.
No.
But outside of that, going back to the whole media responsibility and the media aspect of this story, we see this all the time, the character assassination of the victims. Is it like, am I the only, like, I know I'm not the only one who feels as if this is the most annoying part of the whole media's role in telling these stories. The how they're complicit in assisting in this character assassination of the victims.
Mm-hmm. Like, okay, let me give me 1 second. My internet is wilding the fuck out, moving slow.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay, like let me see. Pull this up. All right, so I'm gonna read something, and then I ask you who you think we're talking about. Like, people in Cambridge thought so and so to his friends as a beautiful tousled-haired boy with gentle demeanor, soulful brown eyes, and the kind of shy, laid-back manner that made him that dude you could always just vibe with. One friend says he had been a captain of his Ringe and Latin wrestling team for 2 years and a promising student. He was also just a normal American kid. As his friends described him, he was an American kid who liked soccer, hip-hop, girls, obsessed over The Walking Dead and Games of Thrones, and smoked a copious amount of weed. Okay. Who you think I'm talking about?
Adam Lanza.
The Boston bomber.
I wasn't that far off.
Close. That was written about the Boston bomber.
Yeah.
Okay. 19-year-old kid who set 2 bombs off during a marathon in Boston. Okay, so here's the one about Mike Brown. Due to be buried on Monday was no angel, with public records and interviews with friends and family revealing both problems and promise in his young life. Shortly before his encounter with Officer Wilson, the police say he was caught on a security camera stealing a box of cigars, pushing the clerk over a convenience store in a display case. He lived in a community that had rough patches. He dabbled in drugs and alcohol. He had taken to rapping in recent months, producing lyrics that were by turns contemplative and vulgar. He got into at least one scuffle with a neighbor. How the hell do you write a more demeaning description of a kid who was shot unarmed in the middle of the street than you do a kid who set off 2 bombs and injured, and I can't remember how many people he killed.
Quite a few.
So many people during a marathon in the middle of the city. That's the country we live in, bro. Like, that is what is being considered, news and journalism now. That you would tear this, you have no issues tearing this kid down because he stole a box of cigars. But this kid set off 2 bombs, and it's nothing but positive things to say about him, and they just don't know why he did it.
And that's the thing, man. I think that's one of the most frustrating things about this whole thing is that we've seen this shit before. We've seen this movie before. When you think about Renisha McBride, showing up at Theodore Wafer's house drunk, and the reason, a lot of folks having the reason that maybe that was justification enough for him to feel threatened to shoot her through a door with a shotgun. You think about, who was that, with Trayvon Martin, man, they was talking about him beating the shit out of George Zimmerman. It's like, well, yeah, but the George Zimmerman was pretty much stalking this dude. He felt like he had to defend himself.
How do you defend yourself again? Out to this day, and I've had dudes I graduated with who have double degrees in engineering. Okay, so they're not stupid. I know they're not stupid. I was with them in class for 5 years. I'm damn well certain they're not stupid. But I've had conversations with them where their comprehension completely shuts down when you start looking at the facts surrounding a lot of these cases. And the biggest thing with Zimmerman, you could say whatever you want about Trayvon Martin being a thug, being a weed smoker, whatever. My man could have had 3 AKs and a 9 on him. You're not going to tell me that George Zimmerman was defending himself against someone he was following. You don't defend yourself against someone you following.
Exactly.
Okay? That's offending. You're going after them. You can't defend yourself when you're going after somebody. That's what I don't. That's us also, and this is just a side conversation that I'm not trying to even open up, but I just want to comment. Yeah. That's the same way I feel about dudes who be like, I don't see why it's a problem to hit women. And I'll be like, you're confusing defending with offending, okay? You defending yourself against a woman, I have no problem with you doing that. You hitting a woman back is not defending yourself. You're being offensive, okay? That's what you're doing. And that's the same thing that Trayvon Martin, that's the same thing Zimmerman did with Trayvon Martin. So when they bring up this situation with Mike Brown, he got shot 30 feet away from the officer 6 times.
Yeah.
They said he got down, like some people are saying, we don't even know who these people are because we didn't see no interviews with him. But some people are saying he got down like he was going to charge him.
What does that even look like?
30 feet away, bruh. First of all, nobody runs away from you. Look, the story doesn't even make sense. So Mike Brown was running away from the cop. The cop shot at him. He turned around and didn't thought that he was going to charge the officer that was shooting at him. So if you running from that type of logical sense, that logic doesn't even make sense. If you're running away from somebody and they start shooting at you and you stop, I'm about 99% sure that you're not going to turn around and run back at them.
No, it's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And the level of cognitive dissonance it takes for somebody to even think that's a plausible story to believe in is amazing to me.
Right.
Like I said, when I of course, sometimes I'll get into it with folks on Twitter. It's one of my, what can I call it? It's one of my quirks, I guess, because sometimes I can't help myself.
No, it's it's a guilty
pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. Yeah,
you know what? I wouldn't even call it a guilty pleasure because I took no pleasure in these conversations at all. It's just one of those things where I engaged when I knew I probably shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. And I made myself even more fucking angry talking to these folks. You know what I mean? But it was like I couldn't help myself because I felt like, maybe me talking to them might shed some light on this. But, at the end of the day, a lot of these conversations aren't going to result in folks changing their minds. That's the one thing I had to learn for myself. A lot of folks just ain't going to change their mind. They already have their minds made up. I know I have mine.
Oh, hey,
made
people need to be wrong, bro. They don't. People don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But when the story, when there's really only one way to look at this, and you find folks, trying to find reasons to discredit a victim, so to speak. I was having folks telling me like, well, Mike Brown was 6'2", 294 pounds, and he could have killed her with his bare hands,
Man,
but
get the
he didn't. But he didn't. Well, if this had been black on black crime in Chicago, you wouldn't even give a fuck. But you know what? It wasn't black on black crime in Chicago. These deflection type of tactics that folks want to use, and I tell people all the time, anytime somebody wants to bring up black on black crime, in this instance, when you're talking about what's going on in Ferguson, what's going on with, black men being gunned down or killed by the police, not even gunned down. When you think about the guy in New York, just guys being killed by the police for no fucking, no legitimate reason at all. And folks are trying to make, what's that?
Selling illegal cigarettes. Like
Yeah.
Legal cigarettes.
People making this leap to, well, he shouldn't have been doing this or this wouldn't have happened. Like, that's bullshit. You know what I mean?
But on the flip side, and I'm not even trying to give those people leeway to being right with their conscience, but what I am saying is that people like you and me purposely don't commit crimes like selling illegal cigarettes because we don't want to end up like a Mike Brown,
right,
or for, or like these are guys that did petty crimes that got killed by police for it. How is that not extreme brute force? How is it not, dude? Like selling, like running. I feel like I have yet to hear, if it had been a black person speeding in their car 90 miles an hour, I wouldn't be surprised if the cops would have pulled out that big ass military vehicle and chased them down and ram them into a wall to kill them over this.
Yeah.
But white dudes out here to be speeding up and down the street doing 100 all the time. I'm from the country. I see that shit. I know white boys that have gotten speeding tickets multiple times for doing 120 through a straight bridge areas where I'm from.
Yeah.
They ain't never worried about getting shot at. They do it and they get pulled over and it's like, yeah, man, the cops fucking caught me, dude. And I'm like, and when I get pulled over for a speeding ticket doing 5 over, I'm like shaking in my boots because this could be the night I get shot because I ain't hands up quick enough. And I don't think they just don't understand that mentality, bro. They don't.
It's funny. Like, anytime I get pulled over by the police now, I'm wondering why it's taking them so long.
Yo.
Like, when they got my license and everything else, I'm like, what's taking him so long? Like, because I've been arrested. You know what I mean? Like, every time, like, it's taking them an extended period of time with my license, Spann going down. You know what I'm saying? And I think about, like, just think about, with Mike Brown or whatever else, like how lucky I was when I got arrested in Chicago when they thought I had a gun.
Right.
When they thought I had the gun on me. You know what I mean? Like, and they had 5 cops and they had guns drawn and they were pulling me out of my car and all of these things, man. Like, how ugly that could have been had I had the gun in the car with me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, for these guys to get, to be gunned down with no weapons on them, to be running away, to be asking them what did I do wrong, to be in that, like, what did I do? What are y'all messing with me for? Like, that whole thing, and to have both of those dudes taken off this earth because of the overzealousness of the police to police people of color.
When did we stop taking dying so lightly? Like, when did it just become some shit that just happened? And I get, and it's always been some shit that just happened. But we treat it like there are people out here who treat it like spilled milk, bro. A black kid died, and it's like, well, that nigga shouldn't have been walking in the street, man. And I spilled my glass of milk this morning because I tried to carry too many things with one hand.
You know what? The sad thing about it is because it's happening so often, it's becoming normalized, and people are becoming desensitized to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a sad reality of it. Like, we've seen this movie before. We've seen it with shit. It started with, like, the earliest remembrance I have of anything police brutality is Rodney King. I think I was about 10 years old when that shit happened.
Well, you gotta take that back to the what's the name with Fred what's the name in the Panthers? I don't want to get his name wrong.
Fred Hampton?
Yeah, Fred Hampton. Cause see, there's a singer Fred Hampton, and then I For some reason, I was like, wait, that's a gospel singer. That's not a dude that got shot on the couch while he was sleeping. But
But that was before me. I mean, I know you talking about Fred Hampton, but I'm saying like just my earliest remembrance from my like in my lifetime.
oh yeah, yeah.
You know, like I was 10 years old when when the whole thing with Rodney King happened, and you got it on videotape, and the cops are beating the shit out of this dude for speeding. You know what I mean? Like that was their reasoning. He was speeding. Like we had a case here in Detroit. Like I was about 13, Malice Green. He was beaten with a flashlight by two cops, beaten to death with a flashlight. So I remember that. I remember like Detroit being on edge and thinking that if these cops weren't convicted, and they were in fact convicted, but if they hadn't been convicted, that Detroit was on the verge of like spilling over into some more riots.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then this like these recent cases, man. I mean, like Garner, Brown, Renisha McBride, Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant. I know I'm forgetting somebody. This shit happens way too fucking much.
Can't keep up with the names.
I can't even keep up with the names anymore. Like it happens too much. We've seen this movie so many fucking times, and I think it's just a simple fact that when people look at it like, well, they shouldn't have been doing this, that, and other. It's just one of those things to where it happens so much that they're desensitized to the whole thing, and it no longer has the effect on them that it should.
Nah, like, and that's the case, man. Like, it's that sad. But I was listening to I'm trying desperately to find the name of this cat now, and I can't find it. I'm sure it'll come to me after I tell the story. But I was like I was listening. I'm like in a group for Oh Hell Nah blog for people who don't like. Let's check that out. It's supposed to be like a comedy joint, but then they keep it real too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, keep it real black and also comedy. And they had this audio of this guy who was mixed, and I'm guessing he was raised by his mother was white.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he was a single parent home, but I feel like she was his only parent. I don't know if he was adopted. I'm not sure. But they were talking about how he was raised in this town with mostly white kids, and the mother was talking about how because they were doing an interview with both of them. So like he was talking and she was talking. They were basically having a conversation. They recorded it, and the mother was kind of like, "Yeah, I thought if I just raised him with love, that we wouldn't have to worry about the hate and the racism. Like love would overpower all of that, and we wouldn't have this problem." And he didn't get his first run-in with the cops as a black man until he was 19. And I think this happened in 2009. He was riding with his friend. His friend was white, and the cops pulled him over. The cops was following him. They said he swerved on a turn or something. So the cops was following him. They pulled him over. They pulled him out the car. They pulled the friend out the car, and when they patted him down first, a black kid, and then they patted his white friend down. When they patted his white friend down, they found a small amount of weed. They found like a bag of weed on the white kid. Put the white kid in handcuffs, put him on the corner. Like 2 other cops show up, and the black kid, like they patted him down already. They got all his information already. He was standing outside the car. They said they were going to proceed to search his whole vehicle now because they found weed on this kid. And he simply asked them, well, is there a warrant for you to search the vehicle? And when he asked that, one of the cops just straight decked him in the face, and then they just beat the shit out of this dude. And I had pictures, like I saw the pictures, because this was actually it seemed it was a big case. I can't remember what state it was in, but he ended up getting awarded like $795,000 because they beat the ever loving shit out of this dude and over this. Now, of course, now they beat the shit out of him. He blacked out. He woke up in a jail cell. They didn't even take him to the hospital. They beat the shit out of him and then took him to jail. You know what I'm saying? His mother had to come pick him up, and he didn't even break down for real. Like he had just got his ass beat and everything. Face all broken up, all of this shit, barely breathing because he's spitting up blood. He said he didn't break down until his white mother saw his face, and she broke down because she didn't realize that people still did this to black people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Her son was black, and she had to see him like, she was like, everything changed for her, and everything changed for him. And what kills me about this case, they awarded him $795,000. The cops all... No, nothing. They didn't get reprimanded for shit. They didn't get fired off the force for it. Nothing. They don't. They were like they claim they reenacted the event multiple times during the
Mhm.
investigation, and they didn't see any point where the cop stepped out of line. Mind you, they rewarded this guy $795,000.
Right.
Right, but they didn't do anything wrong.
And you know, it's interesting that you say that when we talk about the lack of discipline that or any form of discipline that's handed down to police officers when they do overstep their bounds. You know, when they talk about black on black violence and things of that nature, you know, it's always said that the community never marches or they never demonstrate for justice when it comes to like black on black violence, even though that's untrue. You can go on Google and just search the shit and find out how many times people in the community have marched against gang violence, gun violence, or whatever have you.
I hate when
Uh,
people say that just because they're not in the communities where this is going on. You got people talking about Chicago that don't even read about news in Chicago. They
they
hear
don't
about,
care. They
but they
don't care. They
but they
you
want
know
to bring some area conversation. It's annoying.
Yeah, they simply don't care. You know, they'll bring that shit up and they don't really give a fuck about what's going on in Chicago. They don't give a fuck about what's going on in the neighborhoods, period. They don't care. What they're really trying to do is just change the discussion.
Yeah,
You know, they're deflecting it and trying to make it about something else rather than talking about what it is that we're talking about at that particular moment in time.
I hate the way the news delivers information about Chicago. It's like they do it the way they do the weather. It's going like they'll tell you, oh, it's gonna rain Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's gonna rain Saturday, Sunday. It's gonna be beautiful. Monday, it's gonna be a little shower. Oh, and this weekend, 450 people, like 63 people got murdered in Chicago. And then they move on to the next topic. Look at these kittens. And I'm like, wait, time out, dude. Time out. 63 people got shot in Chicago this weekend, and y'all don't feel the need to tell us about any of these shootings. You just want to give us the number. Like the statistics is all they care about. 63 people got shot in Chicago this weekend. Look at these kittens. These
Well,
kittens dancing.
and again, a lot of that, depends on your political leanings too, because I bet you Fox News will perpetuate that number quite a bit. You won't hear as much about it on, say, for instance, MSNBC or CNN. So depending on where you lie politically, you'll hear about the numbers coming out of Chicago about 63 people got shot this weekend. It's the holiday weekend. 40 people got shot over the last 48 hours and things like that. But like if you actually had the time to sit down and look at the numbers, compare them to like what Chicago used to be a whole hell of a lot more deadly earlier on. Like the numbers that coming out of Chicago, don't sleep on them. They fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
But what's scary is how much more fucked up they used to be back in the 80s, back in the early 90s. You know what I mean? Like it was a whole hell of a lot more fucked up then than it is now. It's still fucked up now when you look at those numbers. You're like, God damn, how many people got shot over there like that? But again, when they talk about black on black, especially when they bring up Chicago, especially when they bring up all these things that go on in the black community, I tell people this all the time, like, don't fall for that shit, because all they're trying to do is divert you from what it is that we're talking about at the moment and focusing on, the injustice that it is that the people that are charged to protect and serve us are the ones that are taking us out.
But you say it's them. It ain't just them. It's us too. Like I purposely on I don't know if you've heard the episode of the podcast from last week, but I played people kept sending me interviews or kept sending me audio of J. Cole and Ferguson. And from jump, I didn't like the fact that he released a song and he used that picture of Mike Brown dead in the street as the cover for the single he released for Mike Brown as a tribute. Okay, I just thought that was disgusting, and the mother had already asked that people stop passing that around, and then he makes it a single cover. So then he goes to Ferguson, and I'm like, okay, cool, J. Cole went to Ferguson. That's what's up. I didn't want to hear any of the interviews that he did in Ferguson because I have heard Cole's lyrics, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just let him ride and be cool down there. I don't want to do nothing negative towards this young man. He went down there and he thinks he's representing, and that's cool. And I want him to still feel like that. I don't want people to hear me talking negative about him going there because he's stupid. And then somebody kept sending me videos, so I was like, fuck. And I watched the video, and I have never seen. Well, I've not never seen. I expected there to be deflection in the video. I didn't expect the video to have like my top 3 annoying shit niggas use to deflect you in a conversation about niggas. And in this video, they talk about how one is like the rambling about nothing is like my number one top deflection during black conversations. Where you got
Mm.
some people who just steps in. What about the cups though, dog? They be writing shit on the cups on the inside of the cups, and they be secret messages and shit. And you be like aliens, and they be like, nah, nigga, you. You be like, what? And you know that deflection. Or we need to stop using the N-word deflection. Or what about brothers shooting brothers in the street deflection. Or man, it's because they ain't trying to educate us. We need to stop going to school and educate ourselves. Pick up some black books off the shelves and read them. Throw out the math books and the science books. Science and math ain't for niggas anyway. Deflection. When you're trying to have a conversation about injustice against black people and inequality within our own political system and the structure that we have built to govern people in this country, that's the conversation we having. All those other deflection conversations, stuff that they are their own sets of problems that yes, we need to focus on, but that's not a part of this conversation. You fighting with your brother down the street don't have no bearing over whether a white man thinks you a nigga or not. It don't.
No, it
If
doesn't.
you're fighting, you'd still be a nigga. So you just be a nigga that didn't fight. That's all you would
Yeah.
be.
And that's another thing too. Like, you know, when I was talking about like some of the people that I saw saying this shit were people that I know. You know, like it wasn't just the media. It was motherfuckers I fuck with on a daily, and I'm like, wait. Like, are you really falling into that? Like, are you really falling for that false narrative that, you know, it had Mike Brown been more reputable, that he probably would still be here today? No, it had nothing to do with whether or not Mike Brown was a good person or a bad person. What happened to him was fucked up and should not have happened, period. You know what I mean? And so it's just one of those things, man, to where, you know, because we've seen this so many times before, and you know, we've seen this movie so many times. It's like watching motherfucking Martin on like replay. Like, you know what's gonna happen. You know, you've seen this episode, like, you know what's gonna happen. You laugh at it or you cry at it at the same time, the same way every time, because you've seen this before. And so you know, like when we talk about those deflections, man, like that's one of my pet peeves, is that when we internalize that shit ourselves and say that, well, if we had only been, you know, acting a certain way, if we had only been doing this a certain way, if we had only been seen a certain way, like no matter what, when someone sees you, they're gonna treat you how they feel anyway about you.
That's
Now,
that's a victim's thought process though. That's like it's like weird. Like it's like we have captors, and I my terms are escaping me right now, but I
yeah,
can't think what the term is. Like when you get kidnapped and then you become like
you sympathize with your captor.
you sympathize with them and you become obedient. I can't think of what the term is for that.
Me neither. I know
But
what you're talking about, though.
yeah, that's what we've done. That's what we have become. Okay, we blame ourselves for injustices against us. Have you ever seen a white person argue with a policeman in the middle of the street?
Yep.
Yo,
And I'm amazed every fucking time it happens.
they be like, I pay your fucking taxes. I fucking do this. Your fucking uniform is because of me. You're fucking pulling me over. Fucking, you motherfucking pig son of a motherfucking bitch. You better let me go. Da da da. Be acting and be like, ma'am, calm down. Ma'am, calm down. Ma'am, calm down. Because that's what they're taught to do. They're taught, they're supposed to be like peace purveyors. They're supposed to be people who calm things down, who keep order, not people who shoot you dead in the street because you was walking in the middle, because you was jaywalking. But white people don't understand that mentality. I've had white people just be like, man, you just need to go up to them and so, and they be like, no, man, you can't. Black people can't do that. Like we can't do that.
That's not how it goes with us, man.
For us, dog. Like you don't understand what it's like to, like, we can't do that, and because of that, we police ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So when Mike Brown gets shot in the street, instead of a motherfucker going, damn dog, instead of the conversation being, yo, why y'all shoot him? It's
What
why
do you do?
shot. What he do that he got shot at for? That's the conversation. We instantly start blaming ourselves. It's no different than when you have like a rape victim or a child that's been abused and they start throwing out well, maybe I shouldn't have been wearing that skirt that night. Maybe I was flirting with him and I shouldn't have been flirting with him. Maybe I am too pretty. With children who get abused by their parents physically, it's always, what did I do wrong? I didn't make my I left the bread out on the counter. I left the water running in the bathroom. Or something stupid like I had left toothpaste on the counter, and they blame themselves. We're doing that now 50 years 60 years later, and we don't even realize we're doing it to ourselves. So when a young brother gets shot, it's always, well, you know that nigga was probably stealing. Shouldn't have been out there stealing. When did that ever constitute you supposed to be being shot though?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
We got to stop doing that to ourselves, bro. Now, if you want to have a conversation about that, if you want to say that is something that we could do to help combat this injustice, black on self crimes, then sure, let's talk about that, okay? Because you're criminalizing yourselves already because of your skin color. So you're expecting everybody to be afraid of you. You're expecting cops to shoot you when you get pulled over for a speed ticket. That's just how the world works in your mind, and you don't think it's supposed to be any different. Lo and behold, them white people don't think like that. Asian people don't think like that. Indian people don't think like that.
No.
We think like that.
Yeah, man. But what was another thing too? There's another thing. What was it? I think what was that? Mike Brown's funeral was today.
Yeah, Al Sharpton did his sermon.
Yeah, and I know they were saying that like Mike Brown's dad wanted people to like kind of chill out with the protesting for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you had some people that were just on some like, yo, this is bigger than Mike Brown now.
Yep.
You know, what do you think about shit like that though, man? Like to where, you know, yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking.
Like some colleges had hands up walkout, and that was more like I guess that was supposed to be playing like tribute to the Brown family and showing their respects and stuff on the day of the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm not sure how far they took it. I didn't really read that deep into it. I just know there was a hands up walkout thing going on today and around the country. So I think like Hampton University did it. I think people like DC did it. They had some white colleges that did it. So and you know what? A lot of these stories really shine a light on the millennial generation and how they have how all those races have bonded together.
Yeah.
Like, you have some that still have the traditional values taught to them by their parents and their grandparents, so they still see niggers as niggers. But a lot of them, that's not the case. The reason this stuff spread so fast, social media wise, was because white people cared. Okay, we forget that sometimes. Like we don't push more. We don't run these blog sites. We don't run these radio stations. We don't have 50,000 plus likes on our Twitter, on our Facebook pages, and stuff like that. Not in high amount. That's white people, and when they start caring, that's how the word gets spread so fast. And as we've seen with the ALS challenge, they'll jump on something quick as hell and give it a following and a growing as positive as it can be. But if the father asks you to do something, and we're all supposed to be here for Mike Brown and Mike Brown's family, for you to all of a sudden not abide by his wishes, and his only wish was a day of silence to mourn his son in peace.
Yeah.
I don't see why you would, if you step out on that and you like, nah, dog, it's bigger than what you want now. It's bigger than your son. No, it's always about his son.
Yeah.
It's about us being here for his son. That's what it's about.
And that's the thing too, like you know, I think with social, you know, that's the double-edged sword with social media though too, man. Like when we talk about you know, the ability of social media to get the word out and to constantly update us even more so better than say mainstream media would. But then you have those who use the social media as their opportunity to have a platform, and they'll use whatever means, whether that be the death of a young guy, you know, a young kid, whether that be, you know, something celebrity driven or what have you, you know, like people just take opportunities where they can, And unfortunately, they'll use this as an opportunity to promote themselves. And that's the biggest thing that that like even before, like I used to be a real big critic of like social media activism and stuff like that. But like I see his purpose, I see his his benefits now. I didn't necessarily believe so in the beginning, but because of instances like this, I see that now. Like a lot of folks just use this as an opportunity to promote themselves, so to speak. Never mind Mike Brown, never mind anybody else who's had anything tragic happen to them. They looked at these opportunities to promote whatever it is that they got going on.
I think the biggest well, this has been bothering me since it started, and I haven't really spoken on it. I haven't really spoken on a podcast or publicly because I don't know how to word it to where I don't sound crab or I don't sound like I just have like a negative. I'm associating a negative connotation with something positive that people are doing because I'm pessimistic as a Capricorn baby or whatever. But I see a lot of what I feel is people going. I don't want to say a lot. I've seen too much for my own I've seen enough to give me a bad taste in my mouth of people that seem to want to or have gone to Ferguson in an extremely opportunistic fashion that seem to have started off as being more legitimate, more real, like we going to walk or we going to film or we going to report. And slowly but surely, as you watch, you see people positioning themselves at certain places there. You only see certain types of coverage coming from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start going on Facebook and going on Twitter and you start reading what these people are saying while they're there, it seems they have forgotten that they can go home and that their home is not Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
They can get on a plane and they can go back to the east. They can go back to the south. They can go back to the west. They can go back to another country, wherever they flew here from. But they can go home. If somebody shoots a rubber bullet at you and hits you in the leg, and you stand up and go, man, and you want some, screw you guys on some Cartman, screw you guys, I'm going home. And or they tear gas you, and you're like, screw you guys, I'm going home. And you talk about it like you can't go home. I feel it's a bit ingenuine. I feel like you don't fully respect the fact that these people who are marching there every day that have decided like a couple of days ago that they're tired of reporters coming there and filming them. Did you see the clip of the dude that went off on the Fox News reporter?
No.
Oh man, beautiful. This Fox News reporter was there and he was talking about how, it's like day 10 of this nightly protest and then they're not really out here doing anything, John. They're just out here and it's just the real peaceful protesters have gone home and the ones out here now just, kind of scragglers and they're just out here to basically stir up stuff. And I'm paraphrasing and whatnot, but the way it was so demeaning what he was saying. And then this guy from, it was a Ferguson resident because this motherfucker did not care what he sounded like on camera on national TV. He walked past this guy and he just lays into him. He's like, say that shit again. Say that shit again. Dude was like, excuse me, sir, I'm live on television. I don't give a fuck if you live on television. Fucking time out, we just out here fucking walking around. Now, we from here, man. I'm from Ferguson. I live in Ferguson. The reporter was like, well, I'm here too, sir. I'm getting tear gassed and so and so. And the guy like, hey, fucking shit, so what? I'm from here. This is my home. Come here fucking talking about we just out here to be out so and so, so and so. He G-checked the shit out of that Fox News report. And the Fox News reporter actually had to take a moment to himself. Like they was live. And he had to stop. Because he was so fucking scared of this Ferguson resident. You could tell he had never been G-checked. And this was an old guy. He had to be in his 50s. He had never been G-checked before. And not only had he never been G-checked, he just got G-checked live on camera. And they cut back to Fox News, and the Fox News correspondent is like, we're gonna give Jason some time to, Jason, if you don't want to report anymore tonight, we completely understand. It seems that people are a little out of control, and they're very excited down there. And this guy is saying this, of course, from Fox News and whatever state he's in. They cut back to Jason, the white guy, and I'm giving him a name, but they cut back to the white reporter. Oh man, he is walking with one of the residents now. He's like, so tell us exactly why you're out here, and explain whole his whole presentation changed. His whole focus changed because he realized how serious this was to the people that live there. And a lot of reporters have been sending back more negative stuff, more coverage of the cops' barricades and the blockades and the vehicles and the tear gassing and the smoke gas and the smoke bombs or whatever, and all the negative stuff. They're raiding the church, they're raiding the McDonald's, they're arresting reporters. That's all the stuff that you saw coming out of there. But this is about a town. This is about a community. They're residents here. Their kids can't even go to school right now. They have art programs and stuff set up out there to entertain the kids while their parents march up and down the street with "Don't shoot, hands up" signs. They are a community, and they're doing community building during this peaceful protesting. And I just did not see a lot of people covering that. Even the people who claim they're there as media on the ground covering, because the big mainstream sites aren't doing it, or the people who claim they're there marching amongst everybody else because they need the support. Don't tell them. It should be way more footage coming out of Ferguson, of the Ferguson residents, in my opinion, than of the damn police officers and Ron Johnson, Highway Patrol dude, and all this other stuff. And then, like, it's sad because you have all of these people who are down there for that, right? That's their claim to fame right now, that they're down there to represent with Ferguson for Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
Why Time Magazine and Vice.com are the only two outlets that I have seen release actual document-style video footage of the Ferguson residents, of them walking with Ferguson residents and letting them speak. I seen one at the time, like the time one is the best one I've seen. Like, they just following this kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, Mike Brown was only a couple years older than me. I'm gonna be 18 in a couple years. They gonna shoot me? They're following this kid around, and him and his boys are kind of tagging like poles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy comes up to him. He like, why you doing that? Ferguson, why y'all doing that, man? And the kid's like, we trying to let everybody know about Mike. We signing Mike's name. He said, but that's not going to stay. He said, it's going to rain. He said, look at this. This people been writing on this all day. Y'all defacing property. That's not, we live here. You defacing your home. When it rains, that chalk going to run. Nobody going to be able to tell that said Mike Brown. Nobody going to be able to tell you he's paying respect. And he handed the boy like a marker and a poster board. He said, make a sign. He said, put a real message on there and hold it up in front of these reporters, these cameras. And he's like, that's how you make your mark. Mm-hmm. That's how we show people that we're people here. And this was a regular resident who did this. This was just a guy that saw them doing that, and he felt the need to correct them. And Tom caught that. All those cameras are there, and Tom caught that. I heard they got a fucking press pit that's got like a barricade around it. You gotta have like a pass to get up in there, some shit like that.
Well, think about it, man. Just about every time I watch, like, say, for instance, CNN or MSNBC or Fox or whatever, they're pretty much broadcasting from the same location.
All of them, right?
All of them are broadcasting from. You could look at, like, you could change the channel and see the same fucking buildings behind all of them.
It's like that scary movie where they cut across all the broadcasts in front of the girl's house right before the black reporters up and left. This is black. You get the fuck out of here. Like, reporters, the white reporters, and then they cut to the black reporters. They was all lined up horizontally.
Yeah, man. But you know what? Like when we talking about these protesters, though, I get the feeling, and I don't know if it's just me, but I get the feeling as if this will be another instance of, a lot of protests have been done. A lot of news media has been, descended upon Ferguson and everything else. that at the end of the day, like the people of or like the people in power in Ferguson, I just kind of hoping this shit just rides out, and nothing really substantial is gonna change. You know what I mean? Like, this is the protest of the moment, and we saw this with, like, Trayvon Martin, and we saw this somewhat with Renisha McBride, and we saw this with Jordan Davis. This is the one of the moment, like at the end of the day, like I don't feel as if even with these three, like just these three stories in recent history, that nothing really substantial has changed since then. you know, and I kind of feel uh, like those who, like the mayor and the city council and the police department and the county sheriffs and whatever else. I kind of feel as if like they're just waiting for this shit to ride out and the media to go home and everybody to get tired of protesting, and then it's gonna be right back to the same old shit, and nothing's ever gonna change.
But
How you feel about that?
why wouldn't they? And you ain't alone. I said that the first couple of nights this happened.
Mm.
They're not releasing Darren Wilson's name because they're not scared of nothing. They're not charging him with nothing because they're not scared of nothing. They put that boy's body in the back of an SUV in broad daylight in front of the whole neighborhood because them cops ain't scared of nothing. Right now, they got military vehicles, tear gas, smoke, and rubber bullets aimed at the fucking community like they savage dogs because they not scared of nothing. What they're waiting, they're doing what a smart, and I hate to put it like this, they're doing what a smart mother does when her child throws a tantrum. Let them get it out of the system until he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Ignore him. Because the more attention that you give to him, the more of a tantrum they're going to continue to throw. And I think that's what they were doing initially. But I also think that the police there has horrible practice, with dealing with people who fight back. And these people were able, again, through social media and people going there and reporting, some genuine, some not now. It's whatever. In the beginning, I think most of them were genuine. They went there to cover this, and they made it national news. They made it so that cops could not do what they had been doing to these people, and there not be footage of it, and it not be covered, and it not be circulating amongst millions of young blacks on Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr and whatever people can use, and Instagram pictures of little kids getting tear gassed, and a Vine picture of a cop macing a girl as he's walking away, a young black child in the face as he's walking away because he thinks it's funny to mace her. Stuff like that. They went there to cover that, and they went there to put that out, and that made this national news. Yeah, you damn right. The cops was going to wait this shit out. Mm-hmm. The cops was going to play around with their little military vehicles and their military-grade rubber bullet handling guns, and they was going to wait for these residents to get tired. And when the whole nation got behind these residents, that didn't happen. So what ended up happening is you send in, Obama is sending the attorney general, whatever they or whoever. I probably got that wrong, but he's sending Holder there, and they got to call in Highway Patrol, Ron Johnson to help this out. They got the mayor and the governor going and talking. They got Federal Bureau of Investigation is looking at it now for civil rights, breaking civil rights laws and stuff like that. They didn't expect it to blow up this way. And they were the protesters were more organized in my opinion than the police officers, because they have done things that just don't make any sense. They've been arresting They arrested more protesters and reporters the first couple of days than they did looters.
Mm.
How ridiculous is that? The peaceful protesters had to stop looters so that the cops would stop shooting the peaceful protesters. How ridiculous is that bullshit? But news sources aren't talking about that. Social media is talking about that. News sources have been so behind it. Every news source to me is like a delayed connection when it comes to reporting this story now. They're all 2 to 3 days behind what we already know. And it weirds me out when I have people who only watch the news and don't use Twitter and Facebook ask me about what's going on in Ferguson. Because there's so much they don't know. And they'd be like, well, you have any proof? I got about 30 videos I can send you.
And that's another thing too, because those like the ones that are like the least informed are the most vocal a lot of times.
Oh
Like
man.
the ones who are the least informed, like you'll find those people call it into, say for instance, local radio stations to give their opinion on what's going on in Ferguson, when really they have, you know, they don't really have all of the information, and they'll say, "Well, I don't know everything that's going on there, but I think those people that are down there acting up the goddamn fool, they need to put all their asses in jail." Like when you think about, was it Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, calling
Man.
everybody like
Wow.
calling the protesters animals and having to apologize for the shit later on. It's
I hate
like,
to apologize. Like if you're gonna talk, no, I hate to pop shit apologize as people.
yeah, yeah, but like it's one of those things, man. Like it is always the folks who are the least informed who have the most shit to say. No matter what it is, no matter if it's Mike Brown, no matter if it's sports, no matter what the fuck it is you're talking about, it's always the least informed that are like the most vocal on everything, man.
Because an intelligent person takes the time to sit back and craft their words. And an ignorant motherfucker just wants to run his mouth. And there are a lot of ignorant motherfuckers in this world with Facebook and Twitter accounts, especially Facebook accounts. I think a lot of them got two Facebook accounts. I've seen so much dumb shit. I have seen people who I swore weren't the same person say the exact same amount of dumb shit. And I'm like, man, I swear y'all share a brain.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, everybody's vocal now, man. Like, you always knew people in your circle of friends who was dumb, who had dumb opinions. Always. But now
yeah.
they can tell the world. So now everybody's dumb friend is vocal. And you get to meet all of them.
Well, and it's funny too, because like even those, like even like when you see some dumb shit, and you notice how many people are gravitating towards the dumb shit, it's like, really, this is what y'all are into. This is what y'all are into.
They are,
Yeah, man.
dude. Like people love the negativity too, man. They love to keep tossing stuff on the fire. That's one thing I am scared about Ferguson is these people who showed up just to throw rocks at the cops, you
Yeah,
know, to incite some shit, thinking that they helping. Because there are people who genuinely think they're helping by wanting to start a war.
yeah. What was that? Exactly what was it? Huey P. Newton Gun Club or
New
something
Black
like that?
Party.
Now it wasn't
I
even the
saw
New
the
Black Panther Party. It was just like some folks who had just came up with some shit. They called it like the Huey P. Newton Gun Club or something like that. And they were open carrying down there, and it was like, really, man, like, do we really like? And as someone who like is a gun proponent, I still look at really, that's
because
the
you know they dummies with guns. My girl she used to live with in college. You got roommates and shit. She used to
yeah,
live with girls, and her and the two girls that she lived with, they got along sometimes. But my girl had her own set of friends. Okay,
yeah,
and when she had issues with her roommates, you go and you talk to your girlfriends who don't live there with your roommates.
mm-hmm,
One of her girls had old big ass motherfucking mouth, and this is when I first started dating, and I was at the house, and she would tell me about what was going on with her and her roommates, and I'd be like, "Look, you gotta live with them for like 6 months. You need to work it out. Y'all fighting over petty stuff. It's not that big of a deal. It ain't like y'all fist fighting or nothing. Y'all fighting over who using what shelf in the refrigerator, who is hogging up too much television time. Like this is stuff that y'all can sit down and talk about and resolve as grown women in college. Cause y'all educated, y'all intelligent. Y'all should be able to work this out." Her big mouth ass friend did not see it that way. He saw it as you need to tell them to get their shit together and you need to put it down. Don't let nobody run over you. Don't let nobody talk to you like that. Don't let nobody hold that over your head. You need to let them bitches know that they ain't got shit on you and you can handle that bullshit. She came up in there one day and caused hell while I was there.
mm,
And I went outside and I calmed shit down. And I took all of them, her and her friends outside. I was like, no, don't ever come back on me and do that shit like that. She gotta live here. Y'all start bullshit and then leave.
mm-hmm,
You gotta sleep here. She gotta wake up the next day and deal with these girls after y'all done pissed them off. And they gonna gang up on her because there's two of them living here and one of her living here. And now the one of you niggas live here. Y'all about to go home. And that's what I feel like some people was doing in Ferguson. Showed
mm-hmm.
up, cause some shit, you hit with a rubber bullet, fuck you guys, I'm going home. And just leave. Yeah, we was down there, dog. They threw the tear gas us, but I threw it back, hit a cop in the face, dog. And then I called plane back to Philly because I want to try to stay down there after I hit that cop with that tear gas, dog.
Right, right. Motherfuckers down there taking selfies and shit. As
Dude,
again, using it as an opportunity to promote themselves, man. To say like, yo, I was there, son. I was in the middle of all of that. Like, this is what it was, man. And yada yada yada. It's like, yeah, but were you helping while you were there? Were
I would
you in this? Were you of any assistance to anybody other than yourself while you were there?
I would go there. And I'm not even like I would go to Ferguson and I would film the teachers union that's there setting up stuff for the students. I would
Hmm.
talk to black fathers in the community who are marching with their sons and their daughters. I would talk to black mothers and ask them questions about how they're talking to their kids about this while it's going on. I would get all the footage I could of the residents during the day. You can catch my ass outside at night.
Right.
CNN, MSNBC, Fox, Dice, Tom, Al Jazeera, they can all have that night ass footage. They can deal with the tear gas and the looters and the rubber bullets. I'm not here for that. I'm not saying that those people shouldn't be marching that night. They are braver than me.
Yeah.
They are braver than me, and they marching for a bigger cause than I am. They're home.
Yeah.
So I completely understand it. I personally would not be out there just to be out there to say I lived it, to say I was in the middle of it. No, man, if they start spraying niggas with water hoses, I don't want to be one of the niggas that got wet. They start letting dogs out on people. I don't want to be one of the ones that got bit.
Yeah.
That's not me. I'm not there for that. And I feel sorry for anybody who has to do that to get rights in this country, because we should not have to do that. People should not have to endure and deal with that at this point. And I don't feel sorry for any motherfucker who is out there because they want to get popular. I ain't
Yeah.
got no sympathy for your tear gas eyes or your smoke filled eyes or you getting arrested.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at it though, like you think about, was it 50 years ago? You know, when you think about everything that was going on with the civil rights movement and the dogs and the hoses and everything else, to see those things still happening in 2014, man, um, it's disheartening as all hell.
Hmm.
You know, it frustrates, and I think that's the main thing that I want a lot of folks to understand, especially when it relates to like just black folks in general. Like the black community is frustrated. There's no other word. There's like I can't come up with any other word to put it. It's frustrated with the way things are. It I know I am.
I
I
don't.
know I get tired every time I see another story of somebody gunned down or killed needlessly by someone in authority or someone who's charged to protect. I'm tired of seeing this shit.
I just don't understand the evil that goes into all of it. I don't understand the evil that goes into the cover ups. I don't understand the evil that goes into the misdirection of the media or the deflective topics. I don't understand the evil that goes into the opportunist mind. I don't understand the evil of the people that just want to fight back, not for a cause, but just because they feel like fighting. I don't understand the evil of the people that claim they don't understand what we're going through. I don't
Yeah.
understand the evil of the people who claim that it's our fault that we going through this. I just don't. I don't understand the evil in the people who can completely ignore this like it's not happening. I feel like it's something evil about you if you acting like you don't know what's going on here, or if you don't have no interest in what's going on here, but you live in
Mhm.
this country, but you claim you got some black friends. You claim you claim you've been harassed by the cops before. I don't understand people's lack of empathy. I don't get it, and that's the most disheartening part of it. Because I could get shot in the street tomorrow, and it really is a question of what picture they're gonna use of me on the news and what news station gonna use it.
I already know which one they're gonna use of me. I already know. That Chicago mugshot, dog.
Yep. I just want to burn all my pictures, bro. Like cause I don't want them to be able to find one to use of me, but the one, but only the one my mother got hanging up in her house. That's the only one I want them to be
You
able to
know
use.
what? Sometimes I use that picture, and I'll even post it as like my profile picture on Facebook as a reminder. Just as a reminder as to how you know as to how fucked up it could have been, like how much worse it could have been.
Hmm.
You know, I post that sometimes just on my as a profile, like as a reminder, like yo, it could have been a whole lot worse. You could have not even made it to that police station.
Man, I remember you talking about they didn't give you the gun back, and I was like, man, Spann gonna have to take that as a loss because that
Oh,
man.
I did. I took that L. That was a $700 L I took. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, when we talk about all of these things that are going on with the police, and this dog sleep and barking in his sleep.
Yeah, my mom got a little dog. They be having dreams and nightmares, bro.
Jesus, Tyrone, chill out, man. But yeah, man, just thinking about how that could have went so left,
Hmm.
and it didn't. You know, I thank God every day for that, man. Straight up. But yeah, man, we come to the end of our time here though. Let folks know how they can get in touch with you over at Where's My 40 Acres, man. What's your info?
You can find my old rambling ass over at where's my 40acres.com or the tearsofOrphans.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Phenom Blak. That's PhenomBlak. No C, please. You can find a nigga on Facebook at facebook.com/where's my 40 acres. And if you come on that page acting a fucking fool, I usually I don't even have to say nothing no more. Other people will start calling your ass out. But if I have to jump in, it sounds worse. So yeah, that's where you can find me. Oh, I'm on Instagram too under the Snores of J. Cole. So you can find me.
What? You just made that one up?
No, it's dead serious. That's my Instagram name.
Know some J. Cole.
I was at a Governor's Ball festival in New York, and
Oh
it's
shit.
my child creator perform. And I was like, man, I wish I had an Instagram account so I could take pictures and like post these pictures on Instagram. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make an Instagram account, and I started to make it. And while I was making it, J. Cole was performing in the background at the other stage. And I was like, oh, the fucking snows of J. Cole are filling the air right now. And I was like, well, that's my Instagram name right there. The snores of J.
Wow.
Cole.
Hell no, man. All right, brother. All right, man. I really do appreciate you coming over here, man, and having this conversation with me here at the Spann Report, bro. I really do appreciate it.
No problem. We gotta get you on Where's My 40 Acres, man. Soon. We
No
got.
doubt. No doubt, bro. All the time, man. Just hit me up. You know what's up. And you know how to get in touch with me.
Yep.
All right, bro. Appreciate you. Talk to you again soon.
No problem. Peace.
Peace.